Oh shit. Ugh. Woo. That's dangerous. Right. Hello. Woo. I'm gonna fall down. Hello, dark souls and spirits and bored kids alike. Welcome to the first video podcast of Cynical Optimism. I am live from an anonymous bathroom now. You can ask, why a bathroom? Because it's about cynical optimism, and like most things that I say, it's pretty shitty. So I figure, better sit where shit is always welcome. Now, today I would like to talk about suicide. And how weed is probably better than killing yourself. Now, I will say 3 things about suicide. Number 1, I will talk about what is suicide and why do people engage in it. Number 2, I will explain how suicide will only create more shit to the shit that you're currently dealing with. And number 3, I will explain how if you're considering suicide, weed could be a good alternative for you. Weed is probably better than killing yourself. I'm an expert in the area of suicide. I experimented with it for about 16 years, 3 different countries.
Wow.
Now, I can already hear you. Well, you say that you're an expert, but you're still alive, which means you never managed to kill yourself, which means, if anything, you are an expert at failure. To this, I will respond simply this. Thousands of scientists have been researching cures for cancer for decades. Does that mean that those are not cancer experts? And that is a whammy! Boom! Hey. Now, what exactly is suicide? Well, suicide is basically killing yourself, literally. Now, why do people do it? Let me, make a few things clear. People do not kill themselves because they're heartbroken, right? Or because they have too many problems, or do not have a will to live. All this is bullshit. People kill themselves because they're in too much pain. Ouch. That's what it is. Pain has become so big in their lives that death looks like the only thing that can possibly make it stop. It's sad, I know. This is slippery. Woo! Suicide will not solve any of your problems. If anything, it will add problems to the problems. How do I know? 1, I tried it myself multiple times.
Wow.
2, I wrote a bunch of books by people who also tried it. Now, and there's one in particular I want to recommend, written by this lady, Dr. Kubler-Ross, right? So, she was a scientist, a Swiss scientist. She never believed in God or the afterlife or any of that kind of, new age shit. But either way, one day she decided to volunteer into a hospice. Don't ask me why. Now, in case you don't know, most people who come into hospices as patients, right, they end up dying there. It's just the nature of a hospice.
Ouch. And
basically, she found out while there that, many times the people die, but they don't really die. It's like they die, but then they kind of brought back to life.
Bravo.
During like the regular CPR that they still need to conduct, just not to let people go away on the first attempt. Either way, so she started, talking to people who were coming back to life, right? And she realized one thing. They were all mentioning kind of the same thing, which is there is something after death.
Wow.
And so she figured, maybe, I could write them down and collect them into a book and then sell that and make money. And that's exactly what she did. And you'll find information about that book down below. You'll find a bunch of links or not, but I hope you will. Either way, so one person that she interviewed said something that really stuck with me because this guy, so he died and then came back, right? Now I guess he's probably died dead for good. So this guy was not religious either, and yet he spoke about heaven and hell after death, right? He said, no, there's definitely heaven and hell after death. The only thing that there isn't after death is God. And why so? Because God is you. So he was saying that basically when you die, you lose your sense of self, right? Your ego. And so you become this like impartial God of your own life. So you see your life, just go before your eyes, all, words, thoughts, actions. And at the end of it, if this overall experience this was kind of like a high pile of shit, right, that you're gonna have that kind of shitty feeling, and that will mean that you made it to fucking hell.
Ouch.
Now instead, if after this whole recollection movie, you feel kind of happy about this, then it means that you made it to heaven.
Wow.
But his point was that the last feeling that you're gonna experience in front of, you know, your own life is basically the feeling that you're gonna stick to for eternity, or until next life if you believe in reincarnation. So my point is, my fellow possible suicidal people, if you leave this life through suicide, I can guarantee you that the pain that you're trying to escape, run away from, you're actually gonna dive right into it and then remain stuck with it for eternity. How does that sound? Like, no, thank you?
Hey.
Now my third and last point, because I gotta keep it sweet and short, is about, you know, what weed can do for you if you're suicidal. Now, I cannot openly advocate for weed consumption, so I'll just say this. Whoever tells you that all drugs are equally bad is either fucking ignorant and knows nothing about drugs, or is a straight up liar. So there are numerous studies out there that assess the overall damage of drugs on the body and the mind, and, you know, and your social circle, society at large. And guess which drug is number one? Little hint, it is not weed. It's alcohol.
Bravo.
Alcohol is the number one damaging drug in terms of all the shit that it does to your body, your mind, your social life. And if you don't believe me, check out that article resource. I put a link somewhere down the page, or not, but hopefully I did. And, you know, have a look for yourself. In fact, when you think about it, right, isn't alcohol the best drug to do shit that you're gonna end up regretting later? Isn't that why we all drink? So, you know, let's take this hypothetical scenario, right? So you're thinking about killing yourself, oh sad, and, you know, you come up with a plan, and you're about to go through it, but before you do, you just, you know, get a few shots, right, to pump yourself up. Now, if you do, my bet is you're probably gonna go through with that plan. But what if, people, what if, instead of pouring down some shots before you go through with your suicidal plan, you roll a fat ass Mary Jane Indica blunt, let's say, for the heck of it. Now, I want to see, if you do that and smoke it, how you can possibly kill yourself after that, following through with your plan, which, by the way, you will forget. Hopefully, I made my point across. Weed will not solve all your problems. It will not eradicate the pain that you feel inside. But if you ever come to the place where you're planning your own death, very sad. If you do that before you enact it, please, I beg you, roll yourself a fat ass joint, smoke it, laugh your pain away, forget about why you want to die, watch a Netflix comedy special, fall asleep to it, and then wake up and call a friend or an emergency line or whatever. Better smoke it up so that you don't blow it up.